At Five Star Bank, community is at the heart of what we do. Every day we strive to have thoughtful solutions for our customers and help our communities prosper. Honest dialogue about the issues affecting the region is vitally important to that prosperity. We are proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
Stockton, California has taken a number of hits over the past few years. Bankruptcy, the foreclosure crisis, and increased crime and violence. But is the Stockton region beyond the point of recovery? A group of committed civic leaders are on a mission to remind us all that Stockton has weathered many storms since its formation in 1850, and that there is another story to tell of recovery and reinvention. Joining us today to talk about Stockton's future are two leaders of Stockton Forward, Ron Addington of the Business Council of San Joaquin County and Bob Gutierrez of Food for Less Markets. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Scott.
So you have a bankrupt city, you've got a mayor that was just turned out of office, and the California Highway Patrol is coming in to assist your law enforcement agencies who were on this show several months ago in trying to restore order and reduce violence. Some would say that you all have more important things to do than a public relations campaign. What say you?
Well, basically it comes down to this. I mean, what you've seen nationally as far as the conversation is concerned has been skewed one way. And I think people have...
Describe what that means.
Well, it's been more of a message of concern. You know, we've talked about the crime and the other challenges that we've faced over the years that have led up to this point of bankruptcy and the other significant crime issues that we have. But one of the things that we need to get back to are the basics and what Stockton has to offer. What type of job opportunities are there? What type of education?
Well, you know, just to interrupt you for just a moment.
Sure.
Among the most infamous things that I recently saw was that Forbes magazine described Stockton as the third worst place in the country to live, exceeded only by, I believe, like Cleveland and maybe it was Detroit. I honestly don't recall. And I was down in Stockton the other day, and it didn't seem quite that bad.
One wonders, Scott, where Forbes would, what kind of criteria they were using, and we have not been able to get the criteria to see how we can refute it. All I know is that I had a business leadership summit, and I had Steve Forbes in as one of our speakers, and he loved the place. And then all of a sudden we get this.
Did he not like the food or something?
Believe me, he got treated better in Stockton and enjoyed his time there. And I get a Christmas card from Steve Forbes every year. So it doesn't add up.
Getting back to what the real story is, we do read about a lot of the issues that you faced. In Washington, D.C., constant conversation over the past few years, Stockton, California, ground zero for the worst housing crisis in the entire United States. From a crime perspective, that on a per capita basis, that Stockton generates a greater amount of crime than Chicago does. And we've seen recently all of the problems that Chicago has had. And so when you're trying to change the story, again, some would say that instead of working on the story, you all need to work on the fundamentals and the story will take care of itself.
I agree, and one of the things that we've been doing is education is probably really a key to at least starting to work on that crime situation, because you know, we have recidivism of about 70% in our county jail right now, and we believe that we've got to get children where they can read by the 3rd grade. If we don't, we say they learn to read from kindergarten to the 3rd grade. They read to learn after that. And if they get to the 3rd grade and can't read, then they're going to find themselves in a line where they can look at gangs as an opportunity, where we don't see that as an opportunity for those children. And the University of the Pacific, with their Outside the Gates program that Pamela Ibeck has put together as the president of the university, is coming right alongside San Joaquin A+, which has been doing this for years. So we're trying to maximize those programs and take it into all the sectors of the city of Stockton.
Now, I spoke with President Ibeck of California Pacific yesterday, and she said to me that the story of Stockton is so completely off the map in terms of the reality. Is this, from your perspective, is the reporting that's going on more about piling onto something where it is that sort of, you know, people just follow suit and echo on and on what they've heard before?
I think so, yes. I think, you know, like we were talking about before about the crime issue, I mean, those are real issues. You know, foreclosure is a real issue. You can't avoid talking about them. But one of the things that we need to focus on in order to do what it is we need to do long-term in the future, rebuilding our city and working collaboratively with the other organizations in the city, is working with those partners like University of the Pacific, focusing on early education with San Joaquin A+, getting involved with community partnerships for families, which is a neighborhood program. So there's a variety of different options that I think is going to get us back to our core, which is, you know, doing what we need to do for our own community. And then that way, you know, from a business perspective, we can hopefully reinvest into our community as well. But there's a story to be told there about our history and what we bring to the table as a city. And I think that that's been remiss given all the negative issues that are going on with bankruptcy, because I think that's more of a, you know, that's a big story. That's a big story to be told as well. Why does a city get to bankruptcy?
Speaking of bankruptcy, you just tossed out of office your former mayor, who I guess was part of the founding of Stockton Forward, or at least was supportive of it.
She was, yeah, she was
supportive of it?
She was supportive of it.
Your new mayor has put together a proposal where he wants to do a tax increase in the midst of bankruptcy, which has a lot of people scratching their head, because typically during a bankruptcy, if you raise money, the creditors are going to come in and snatch it all.
Right.
What's he thinking?
Well, I think his heart might be in the right place. He understands and has identified an issue, be it the crime issue, and I think he's looking for options. I don't think that at this point we should throw any options off the table, but I do know that, you know, having
But the law is the law.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
Bankruptcy law is bankruptcy
Right.
law. I mean, I can say that the world is
Sure.
flat, but it's round.
It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You know, the new mayor-elect needs to understand that we have to go through this process, and I think that's something that he'll be educated on as he begins his term and goes through that process. But, you know, long term, I think we're going to have to look at some, you know, tough issues in order to get to where we need
So
to be.
neither of you think that this tax increase is necessarily, while you're willing to look at everything, but from what you understand now, do either of you think that this is viable?
Not at the moment, no.
Bring out a bankruptcy?
And you know, one of the things that we want to do, the mayor-elect Anthony Silva is really new to the political arena, and Stockton Forward is going to put their arms around the new mayor and the new council people to bring them up to speed, because they're going to have a very steep learning curve right now as to what the issues are in the city of Stockton. They could read the paper and see what was going on, but until they're there every week at the city council meeting and the meetings behind closed doors and the meetings with city manager Bob Dice, they all have to get together and pull in the same direction. And the private sector with Stockton Forward is going to try to be a part.
Well, actually, I might one-up you and go a little bit further on that. What's interesting about your initiative is that in many locales, it's government that is pulling the train in order to generate the economic recovery. In terms of the energy, and business is sort of out doing its thing. In your community, business is stepping up. In addition to yourselves, you have folks from the Spanos organization, which longtime investors in the region, Groupie. You do have the universities on board, but there's a lot of private sector activity, which is notable. What's in it for you guys?
Well, we all
Why are
do,
you here?
We all do business here. So,
Uh-huh.
we have a vested interest in making sure that not only our community thrives, but our businesses thrive
Sure.
too. Because without that, we can't give back to our community. Those folks that you listed have all been contributors to that community for decades, and I assume will continue to do that. But one of the things that we want to make sure is that we have a community to work with. And so we have a vested interest in making sure that we can continue that long term.
It's just interesting in that the private sector in many locales is not as aggressive as how you all are sort of leaning forward into this issue. I mean, when I hear about business executives getting involved in parenting training at local correctional facilities, which I'd like you to speak to if you don't mind, that's a little bit of a shift. Maybe on a one-off basis that happens, but not typically where it is that business is getting strongly involved in that type of activity.
Right. Well, the Business Council back in about 1990 formed another corporation called the San Joaquin Partnership, and that was a private public sector organization to attract new business to San Joaquin County. And it's about 75%, maybe 65% private sector, 35% public sector. And that has been probably, Skedco here in Sacramento is very similar to that. We have been more successful in San Joaquin County with that public-private sector effort, marketing the county to the world. And we've had a number of great successes. Just recently, South Bay Auction Company is coming to town with about 50. We've got another company that's coming in with 100 jobs. So these jobs are very important. Now to go on to what we're calling Malachi Dads. This is a program we're starting at the county jail in the Honor Farm with men that want to change their lives. Because a lot of times we have 70% recidivism in our county jail, meaning they serve their time, they get out, go back into the community, but they don't have anybody to help them. They're not going back into the faith-based community, they're not going back, they can't get a job, they've got a record, and this program is going to show them there is a better way. There is an opportunity to ask their children for forgiveness, to ask their mom and dad for forgiveness, and to ask them, please accept what I'm doing right now.
And this Malachi project is indicative of the types of programs that you all want to expose a bit more broadly to the community.
That's right.
I want to go a little bit further on that point. In the chair that you're sitting in, several months ago, I had on a former gang leader who was here with your police chief in Stockton and also the sheriff for San Joaquin County. And he said to me, he says, the word on the street, because he goes into the homes and works directly with these young men who don't know a better way yet. He said that things are so bad in terms of the coverage that there was at that point chatter among the criminal class that said, hey, it's open season because there are no repercussions. In order for projects like yours to take root and for people to see a better path, there has to be basic order restored. What's going on and what role is Stockton Forward playing in making sure that people feel safe in their homes?
Sure. Well, one of the big things that's going on right now in Stockton is Operation Cease Fire, which is a collaborative effort between all the different agencies in the county and in the city. Most recently, the California Highway Patrol has been brought in to go ahead and expand our coverage area for law enforcement and so forth. So there's a number of steps that have been taken recently to combat that. Is it something you can fix overnight? No, it's going to take some time. But we have new officers being sworn in. We have CHP that's going to be augmenting some of those services as well. And then we have Operation Cease Fire, which is, again, that collaborative effort that's bringing agencies together to communicate and find out what is going out on the streets right now, what is happening, and how can we combat it, whether it be, gang violence, random crimes, or, other homicides and so forth.
Okay. For the programs and the message that you all want to get out, help us understand, what 3 or 4 things would you like to accomplish Stockton Forward in the next year or so that if you achieve them, you would say, we've moved the ball forward. And how are you going to measure those?
Yeah. Well, what we're going to try to accomplish, and we will accomplish this, is Stockton Forward right now is a fairly small group of people that have invested some time and dollars into this effort. But we want to move this effort so that everybody is on the same page in Stockton. That, you know, the police department is always looking for people, neighborhood watch sorts of organizations, but I really think personally, because I come from that faith-based organization side of the world, is we've got a lot of churches in Lodi, or not Lodi, but in Stockton. And a lot of those are in South Stockton, where an awful lot of the gang violence is going on right now. And they're going to work with us, we're going to work with them. In some cases, they're going to need some financing. And, you know, we're going to be the catalyst, I think, to change the complexion of the city of Stockton. Now, as far as other things are concerned, I know Bob and I, we talk almost every day about new ideas and things that we can do. If I were to say, I would like to see that, you know, even though our jails are overloaded right now, I want to see those men coming out of jail getting back into their community in some fashion where they'll have a job, they may get into that local church, they may become pastors. And little kids look up to people that have gotten out of jail. Now, a lot of times they look up to them and find out, gee, he was a bad guy, I'm going to be a bad guy. But if he comes out with a different perspective, he's been touched in that jail situation, that little kid can look at him, and that little kid is a future great person or not so great. And we want to see him be great.
Sure. When you look at the future of Stockton, if in order to turn around the mindset and all of the reporting that's gone on, Stockton needs a message in terms of what is its value proposition. Mm-hmm. And if either one of your businesses was looking at Stockton as a place to locate, what's the 30-second elevator pitch or the 15-second elevator pitch that tells why Stockton as opposed to any other place in the Central Valley or in California?
Well, we're the epicenter here for agriculture here in the Central Valley. We've got a marine highway. We've got transportation avenues. Right now we're going through an expansive transportation upgrade, if you will, through I-5 and so forth. That's going to expand our ability to move traffic commercially. We've got a port that's doing excellent, that's expanding and recruiting new businesses to come in here. So you've got a variety of different opportunities from a business standpoint. The next thing is, you know, some of these programs that Ron mentioned, San Joaquin A+ and other educational efforts, those are the future. That's how we would go ahead and look at, you know, is this a location that's going to give us future employees for all sectors of our business? So not just working in the grocery stores, but working in the offices as well. So there's a number of different opportunities, I think, from that standpoint. And Stockton seems to be growing in a very traditional manner in some cases, and then, you know, it's got its challenges in others. So I think that using those different resources, I think we'll be in a good spot in the future.
Sacramento recently branded itself as the farm-to-fork capital of the world. In fact, you all are closer to the action in Stockton.
Right.
We have UC Davis, but you have all the farms down there in your region. What's the promise of your biggest industry in terms of being a part of Stockton's recovery?
Well, they already are some of our investors in Stockton Forward, because even though they may be on the outskirts of Stockton, most of their people live in Stockton. They want to see Stockton thrive, and they're willing to invest their time and dollars in that effort. It's when we look at our agriculture, it's billions of dollars every year, and of course water is a big issue, and we're working on that also.
Ironically, just as an aside, yesterday when I was with the president of University of the Pacific, she said that when she lived in the Bay Area 25 years ago or so, maybe it's a little bit longer than that, with her husband, that Jerry Brown was the governor and water was the biggest issue facing the region. And that now she's the president of the University of the Pacific Jerry Brown is the governor,
Right.
and water's still the big issue.
That it is.
and it will continue.
Yes.
It's been a big issue since the 1840s, you know, when California, or 1849, whenever we became a state. And that hasn't changed. We've got a number of other things that are not necessarily under the umbrella of Stockton Forward, but are looking at
Like what?
solution. We have 8 counties in San Joaquin Valley, from San Joaquin to Kern, okay? We have 5 counties around the Delta. San Joaquin County is on both sides of that fence, okay? So we've got 12 counties. And we have been able, they haven't even talked to each other. We've been able, under the California Partnership for the San Joaquin Valley, to bring those 8 counties in collaboration with the 5 counties over here and all of the elected officials in those areas. We're having a meeting on the 11th in Lodi at Wine and Roses, where we're going to bring the electeds, the supervisors, the friends of the San Joaquin Valley, which are a bunch of private sector people also that want to see San Joaquin County thrive, San Joaquin County, San Joaquin Valley, and the Delta. And it's absolutely amazing how we've been able to get everybody on the same page. The only issue that we have left off the page is the peripheral canal or tunnels, because that one we said we're not going to deal with that. Okay,
Smart man.
We want to deal with things that we have some control over.
Right.
Right.
And we've got probably 20 water projects right now that would affect the state of California that we're talking to our legislators about. There's funding in Sacramento. We just have to figure a way to get it turned loose.
Okay. Bob, I want to ask you a question. If you could correct 2 or 3 misperceptions that are generally held about Stockton, what would they be?
You know, the 2 things that have been talked about, you know, Stockton being the most miserable city. I've grown up there, had the opportunity to grow up there.
Went to local high school.
Went to local high school, raising a family there now. I have 2 young kids. So, and we look to stay in Stockton. And, you know, being a part of that process for as long as I have, it hurts to see it being called a miserable city. So that would be the first thing. The other one is that the city is unsafe. And, you know, perception is reality, but at the same time, you know, we have to think about where these crimes are taking place and how they're taking place. And we have to be more aware of our surroundings as well. So I think that if I could change 2 things, it would be miserable city and the crime perception.
And
Yours?
you know, Scott, I've worked in Stockton since 1957 when I started with Caltrans.
I thought you were 29.
Yeah, and then some. And I've gone to hundreds of city council meetings, planning commission meetings, and these have all been in downtown Stockton, okay? The boards of supervisors meetings and so forth. And I have never experienced a problem in being in downtown Stockton during all of those times. And now I'm not saying that within the city council chambers there haven't been some problems, but those are just politically oriented and community oriented perhaps. But it's not, we're getting a bad rap.
If you were to name on the part of the business community and the others that make up Stockton Forward, what's the very succinct Marshall Plan that you all have for getting the city of Stockton off its back and back on its feet?
Jobs. Pure and simple.
Jobs do solve a lot of problems.
Jobs solve a lot of problems, and I was going to take off on that just a little bit ago, but the fact of the matter, when I was talking to Pamela Ibeck, the president of the university last night, I said, Pam, we're going to turn a mud puddle into a stepping stone, okay? We're going to move forward, and one of the ways that we're going to do that, sometimes one person's problem is another person's opportunity. Because we've had all these problems with housing and foreclosures and all of that, companies that want to come in, what do they ask us? Number one, what's your workforce look like? Well, we've got one of the highest unemployment situations in the United States, you know. And so there's plenty of employees for new companies to come in and use.
Low cost of housing too.
Low cost of housing, and we've got and then they want to know, well, will my employee be able to find a house? Well, I know I live in Lodi, but my house now, which is worth about $300,000, it was $700,000 at one point in time. And that same thing is happening throughout San Joaquin County.
Don't worry, you're not alone.
Yeah.
In our last few seconds, I want to focus on this. What do you think has been your biggest win so far? Very quickly.
Basically bringing everybody to the table together, the collaborative effort, working with all the different businesses and so forth. I think it's been amazing, the partnerships that have been developed since then, since we began. So yeah, I think the partnerships are a big deal.
And what would close out 2013 and you'd say that Stockton Forward had been a success? One thing.
Okay. That we were able to help the city of Stockton get through their bankruptcy and then move forward.
All right. It sounds like that there is plenty to do, but at least there's some committed folks around the table to make that happen.
Absolutely.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you much for coming and sharing your ideas and your plan for Stockton with us. And maybe we can have you back in about a year and check on your progress.
You got it, Scott.
Thanks.
All right. Well, that's our show. Thanks to our guests, and thanks to you for watching Studio Sacramento. I'm Scott Syfax. We'll see you here next time, right here on KVIE.
Five Star Bank, community is at the heart of what we do. Every day we strive to have thoughtful solutions for our customers and help our communities prosper. Honest dialogue about the issues affecting the region is vitally important to that prosperity. We are proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
All episodes of Studio Sacramento, along with other KVIE programs, are available to watch online at kvie.org/video.